I'm Alex Simon. I'm 19 years old. I'm a freshman at school here in DC, and I guess I started getting interested in social enterprise and social entrepreneurship when my family took my siblings and I around the world for a year when I was in 4th grade, when I was 10 years old, and kind of seeing how people were living in the slums in India, in Cambodia, and Guatemala kind of sparked an interest in working on kind of combating those issues and working on helping the people get out of the problems they were facing. My sister and I are the main people getting involved in these kinds of social enterprise activities now. We didn't really start up anything, any activity, until a trip we took, a leadership trip, that got us more kind of motivated to take action in sustainable development and raising money to make microloans and connecting communities in Guatemala with communities in the United States. But I first learned about Ashoka. I'd seen some materials, I think, about Ashoka in some random place, and it sounded really interesting. And as my dad was getting more involved in it, I did some reading and I learned about Ashoka, and I actually ended up getting so interested that I persuaded him to get involved in working with Ashoka. A cool thing about visiting all these social entrepreneurial enterprise activities is that it's really inspiring. So even if your family is kind of reluctant to travel and like be together for extended periods of time, having traveled with other families who are kind of like that to these different projects, I can say firsthand that kind of the really cool experience in learning about these projects and learning about the people brings the families together and discussing and thinking about the impact of these projects and how maybe to make them better. The great thing about social entrepreneurship and visiting these social enterprises, if you visit places from just like a standpoint of a tourist, you're coming in as an outsider to a place and you're kind of observing it. By engaging in social enterprise and working with social entrepreneurs in these places, you really implant yourself in the culture. You're, I think, gaining a far more multidimensional sense of what these places are all about. The fellow, Douglas McMeekin in Ecuador, was especially interesting because he was working on a bunch of different issues. He was working on education for people in rural parts of the Amazon region in Ecuador. He was working on micro-enterprise development, sustainable agriculture, ecotourism, all kinds of really cool things. Yeah, it's kind of cool because it's a boarding school, so all these different regions of the Amazon in Ecuador have basically representatives in the students there, so you're getting kids who are learning all these skills, learning animal husbandry, learning ecotourism, learning microenterprise development, and then taking the skills they've learned and implementing those kind of practices, whether it's building a greenhouse or better irrigation for their farm. They're impacting their home communities in a pretty substantial way. Reading about his work on paper gives you one dimension of it, but the full scope of its impact and kind of the human side to what he's doing, you can really only see, I think, by visiting the project. And after that trip, I developed a micro-enterprise kind of awareness group for young people, for students, for high school students, and my sister created a group as well. Without Ashoka, we would never have found out about this project. I mean, I think one of the major strengths of Ashoka is that it's developed such a substantial, powerful network of people independently doing really great things, and then in collaboration with Ashoka doing even better things. So Ashoka connecting us with Douglas and kind of facilitating the initial interactions and the discussions we had with him before visiting was kind of pivotal in our decision to go to Ecuador and actually experience the programs, his work.